Good evening. Hopefully, no second intro this week. We don't have to jump around and start panicking to try and set up another stream like last week, but everything looks good. And as you can see tonight on the COYS podcast, we're joined by three top guests. Well, one top guest and two regulars, you know.
Oh, stop it.
So let's introduce the guests. So we got regulars. Patrick, how have you been, Patrick, this week?
I'm good. Look, I'm repping the Son and Kane.
He's got the record-breaking shirt on.
Record-breaking shirt. What's that? 20? How many assists is it? 37?
37 now.
Yeah,
37
combined. Yeah,
combinations.
So I had to rep. So yeah, I'm good, man. But yeah, not too much of an intro. Obviously, I'm happy Tans is on there. It's been a minute. She always makes our streams look a lot better. And then obviously my guy Ryan, and obviously my main guy Carl. So yeah, let's go.
Yeah, we thought we had to get someone who can kind of brighten the camera up a little bit this week.
Oh, stop it. Don't sell yourself short, lads. Come on.
So we'll introduce Ryan. How have you been this week, Ryan?
I can't complain, Carl. Cannot complain. Like I say, we've got royalty on the show tonight. The Queen Tanya.
Oh, God,
Finally back on streaming after she's taken a break. The brother Patrick, the host, the new host, the main host Carl, back for Mondays. He's actually been a good luck charm apart from the Burnley game. I think we've won more than we.
Mate. Exactly.
Wow.
So we'll keep it going. Happy Monday.
And obviously we've talked this lady up enough. So it's time to introduce her. Tanya, how have you been?
Yeah, I'm fantastic. I'm so happy to be on the show. Thanks for having me, Carl. Always good to see Ryan and Pat. And yeah, it's nice to actually talk about a Spurs win again. I mean, I wouldn't have coped if we'd have been speaking about a terrible loss. So I think I'm on at the right time, which is nice.
You definitely are. You definitely are, mate. So before we get into everything, obviously we'll do the social media bits. Audio will be out tomorrow as normal, but obviously give us a follow on Twitter, on YouTube, subscribe to the channel. We've got lots of content. You've probably seen there's loads of stuff out there at the moment, match previews, match reviews, match instant reactions. So there's loads of stuff going up there. So make sure you give us a subscribe and a follow. And there's always plenty of something good to talk about Spurs related. So let's just get into this week's one. And we're not going to talk about the Burnley game as such, because that's gone. We don't want to depress ourselves even more. But we haven't had a chance to chat about the main man, and that is Conte, and that after match interview. So I'm just going to get each of you's opinion on what happened after the game and what you were thinking that night and where you stood. So Patrick, obviously it was a bad defeat, especially coming off the back of the Man City game. I think everyone was going into that game feeling really confident, weren't we? And again, it was one of them performances we just go, it was almost one step forward and two steps, typically Spurs, backwards. We know, obviously, Antonio is a fiery character and passionate. Was you expecting that kind of interview after that game?
To be fair, I thought we'd beat them, so I wasn't expecting any of those kind of emotional outbursts. But to be honest, I can't sit here and gas and say, I thought it'd be a tough. Burnley away is always a tough game. I get it. But where we were and what we're chasing and how the team was performing, I thought we'd go there. I wouldn't say play them off the park, but I thought we'd win quite comfortably. Especially, you know, I know Burnley are fighting for their lives, but they haven't been good this season. Let's be honest. So I was surprised at the result. I was angry at the result. And I guess Conte was as well. Conte is an emotional character. He wears his heart on his sleeve. The reason why we love him is because he doesn't take any shit. He says it how it is. And obviously, some of it, when he said what he said, I was happy that someone's out here telling it how it is. He doesn't hold no punches. Anyone can get it, including Levy. But at the same time, I'm thinking, oh man, now our rivals, especially Arsenal, Chelsea, they're gonna have a field day, and it's giving them ammo and content, isn't it? That was my only thing. I was like, I love what he's doing and how he's saying it, but it's not good. And obviously, the media, they don't like us anyway. That just gave literally everything. Oh, Conte's gonna walk. Conte's gone. He's not saying this. It's just like, oh, we don't need this right now. So there's pros and cons to it. I love the honesty. I love the raw emotion, the passion. He's a winner. He wants to win. And that performance was unacceptable. Let's be honest. You can't be losing to Burnley. I don't care what the situation is, especially if with everything we got on the line, that's a game we have to win. But I love how honest he is, but also at the same time, he is accountable for some of the mistakes and the mishaps. We'll get into it a bit later, but yeah, I love it. But to be fair, sometimes you just got to maybe just think a bit before you speak, because obviously it can almost do more harm than good.
Well, I guess, obviously, as you say, sometimes, especially when you consider the week leading up to that game and the previous issues with the media that had come from an interview he did. And then obviously at one point just after that, you're getting told this is the best group of players I've ever worked with. I'm so happy. So, Ryan, was you surprised that, yes, obviously for any manager, having a camera shoved in front of your face when you just lost a game is not perfect timing. But let's face it, Conte isn't, if you like, a novice manager just stepping into the arena. He's one of the world's best. So was you surprised that he got that kind of passionate and emotional at that moment in time?
No, I love it. I absolutely love it. Just hear it. You know what, right? It's if you go through my timeline after the game, then no, I was sulking just like he was. So I was exactly the same. I thought he was gone, but no, if I'm going to applaud him for his commitment and desire on the touchline or when we win, I want exactly the same when we lose. I mean, Pochettino after press conferences was too nice, didn't really bother. Mourinho was too busy arguing with the press to concentrate on what's happened. Now I'm hoping that these players actually are a little bit scared of this manager. I hope that he intimidates them a little bit to push them on the pitch. I don't want no more, the players played well today. Just want our day. Burnley were better. We'll come out and do better next time. Sick of the tweets from the players after every game of it just wasn't our day today, but next time we'll do more. I don't want to hear that. I want to see it on the pitch. I don't want to hear it on Twitter. So hopefully he can just spice it up a bit. Like I say, Son's come out today and put in a good interview about him, about obviously his commitment, his desire, how much he pushes them. That's what I want to see the players talk about. So when we lose, I expect it again. Every time we lose to a team like Burnley, that, like Pat said, you should be going to Burnley and beating them. There should not be a conversation after the game of why Conte's losing his mind in a press conference. That game we should have won. Should not be losing to a Ben Mee header at Burnley. It's not how it is. You don't go to Burnley and lose when you want Champions League. So it's going to keep happening. He's going to keep coming out. If we lose stupid games like that, he's going to pick up on Levy, or he's going to bash the players a bit. So let's hope they actually pull through for him.
Tens, is there a fear that obviously, although we say, you want a manager to come out and be passionate, you obviously don't want to be in a situation where after every possible defeat, you've got your manager coming and throwing his toys out the pram and almost getting the fan base worried that is this guy about to walk at any moment? Because obviously he came out and said, this performance wasn't good enough for the fans. Does he then have to take some of that and say, well, yeah, but then your manager coming out as well and almost talking like he's about to walk out the club? The fans don't want to hear that either, because as we've said, not only are we kind of frustrated with the performance, but then if you've got the fear that your manager's about to walk after every bad performance, that isn't also going to help. And like I say, if you're on Twitter, there's meltdowns over tiny things, isn't there, amongst the fan base, let alone this manager deciding or making out he could be about to walk.
No, you're absolutely right. And I think Pat and Ryan have explained it very well. But I think, what Pat was saying about there's pros and cons to it. And I think that's the cons of it. The fact that, it sent the whole Spurs fan base into meltdown. I mean, I thought he was going to leave, because if you actually unpack some of the things he said, you're like, whoa, like he was saying the club need to assess the situation. He was obviously talking about himself. Is he talking about the players? He was saying things like he doesn't see us getting top 4, which he's already said in other interviews, and that he sees us finishing 12th and 13th. Like you say, I think we don't want to hear that every time we lose. And I think to lose 4 games out of 5, as a manager, he does need to take some responsibility. But I wasn't surprised. I think we've all said it. He's an emotional manager. And I think, in some ways it's justified. We went off such a huge win against Man City. No one gave us a chance beating Man City. I didn't think we were going to beat City. And then to kind of lose against Burnley, I think probably half of us were expecting, we're like, oh God, we're going to be Spursy again. We're not going to win. This is the test. Playing Burnley, not Man City, Burnley. And we failed. And I think he was just really kind of wound up by that result, because like Pat said, you know, every point counts at this stage. You know, we're still in the top 4 race. We're not completely out of it, but I just think you're looking back at the games we've lost: Burnley, Southampton, Wolves, and he's just thinking, God, not another one, and he's just lashed out. But I'm like Ryan, I do respect a lot of the things he says. I agree with a lot of the things that he says. He's not lying, but I think, yeah, he just needs to think before he says certain things, because especially me, I was having a panic attack.
Yeah, I mean, obviously all the media outlets were kind of loving it, weren't they? Because this was like, if Conte walks, this story is going to blow up something massive. I actually wasn't that worried that he was going to walk that night, because you kind of think, I don't believe that when Conte took this job on, at no point to me was he ever sold this dream that in January you're going to get this full rebuild, the club are going to sign X, Y, and Z, and you're going to have the team that you want to think. He must have been told, listen, January's not the window it's going to happen, so you've got to wait till the summer. Do you guys, and I'll just throw it out there, my interpretation of that interview was a warning to the board to say, listen, if you think I'm going to put up with a summer transfer window like normal for this club, because obviously in his comments, he did make that point of the players are always the same. This club changes coaches, but the players are always the same. And I'm too honest to sit here and accept that. I thought, for me, that was just a warning to the board to say, listen, you've got me. If you don't use me in the summer the way I think you should be, I won't be hanging around. You know, I will be walking. What do you guys think? Were any of you honestly seriously worried that could we wake up to find Conte isn't the Spurs manager?
No, I wasn't worried like that. Exactly how you read into it, Carl, is how I read into it. Obviously, I was more annoyed that I just know what rival fans are like. I know what the media are like. I knew we was going to get clipped, bantered, you know, all of that. We beat Man City, rightly so. Everyone was a bit worried again. And then we lose to Burnley. And I'm trying to get rid of this whole Spursy tag. I flipping hate it because there's so many teams that drop points and no, they don't have a tag. We have this annoying tag, and it's obviously stuff like that. It just makes it so easy for it to stick. So, yeah, I was annoyed at that. I'm not worried that Conte's going to walk. I don't see him as a quitter. He's not going to quit midway through. It just makes no sense. He knew the situation he walked into. It's not like he wasn't aware. He was fully aware. We courted him in the summer. It didn't work out. We obviously went gung-ho for him after we got rid of Nuno. He knows exactly what's going on. But like he said, the players aren't good enough. You guys need to back me properly. Basically, all he's saying to leave is back me properly and I'll win you stuff. If you don't, then forget it. That's how I took it. And he's right, because how can you beat Man City one day and then you're losing to Burnley the next?
Do you possibly think there, when we look at that, and we'll kind of discuss something like that, do you think maybe those exertions against City just took it out of the squad? Is it hard to kind of recover to then put a performance in a few days later when you've kind of had to, if you like, put that sort of performance in to beat a team like that?
But see, that's where I just find Spurs so strange. I think any other team would just build on that. And that's my frustration. Why can't you just build on that result? You should give you so much confidence. We've done the double against the Premier League champions.
Best team in Europe right now.
Best team in Europe. Let's be honest about it. You know, playing Burnley, it should really be a piece of cake. I'm not saying that Burnley aren't in the relegation battle, because they are. And these teams, they're going to make it difficult. And we always struggle against teams, low block, rainy day at Turf Moor. It's like the worst possible fixture. But, you know, you expect us to win. But look, I think I'm with you, Carl. Conte was definitely pointing out at the board. And he's basically insinuating, you know, January, it was okay. It could have gone better, but the summer is crucial. And if I see these same players, like he suggested, he's probably not going to be around, because he knows his level. And I think he has to think of his reputation as well. He's a top manager. He's not going to ruin his reputation for little old Tottenham Hotspur. So, yeah, we need to back this guy, because I love him. I've been so happy since he's joined us. And I know we've had bad results, but I'm just not quick to blame Conte, to be honest with you. It's these players and it's the board. Yeah. So it's in the board's hands.
Ryan, do you think as well, Conte, I think, probably knows he's in a strong position right now, doesn't he? Because when you look at the fan base and the club at the moment, I think he knows this board have got one more window before it turns really toxic, because those who are kind of giving ENIC and that a pass at the moment to say, okay, we're starting a project again. I think there's an element of the fan base that are now saying, you've got summer. And if we don't see what we need to see in the summer and Conte does walk, then I tell you now, I wouldn't want to be in that Spurs ground if I was ENIC the very next home game, because I think then the whole fan base goes, these people are not going to do what they need to for us.
That's what I'm hoping, Carl. I'm hoping Conte knows that he holds the power now. Because like I say, if he goes, all hell will break loose. And like I say, Levy will not be able to show his face in that stadium. He probably will. He'll probably still go.
Oh yeah, he'll turn out.
He'll do something. I wouldn't say give out free food, or he might take a pound off of.
No, we'll never get free food in that stadium, mate.
It won't go that far. But I think that's why he dug out Levy. I think the Burnley press conference was the board and the players. I mean, look, January says it all. If he's not happy with you, Dele's gone, and Ndombele went, Lo Celso. Look at all the money that he shipped out there. And that's 100 million just Ndombele and Lo Celso, as crazy as that sounds. That's 100 million pound in 2 players that he shipped out because they didn't suit his style. They weren't working hard enough for him. So the board know that there's plenty more players in that squad that he'll be happy to get rid of. But one bad move in this summer window and he could walk. He's not a guy to stay, because he might love the Tottenham fans already. He might appreciate us, but he's not going to stay if he's not back. We've heard him say a million times, he is a winner. He's not going to accept fighting for 4th place, because that's not what he wants. He don't want that on his CV. He wants to be winning trophies and awards. So this is the biggest summer, Nick, of how every summer's big, but this summer now is huge, because one little mistake, and if he goes, then I don't want to be him in that stadium, because
it's absolutely massive for the board. Because you're right, Ryan. In that same interview, he said, "I'm ambitious. I have ambition." He constantly says, "I have ambition," and if we don't match that, he will easily walk. Like as you say, Ryan, he probably loves the Spurs fans. He loves the stadium, the training ground. He loves some of the players, but he's got his reputation to think of, and this is it for us now. Like if we don't back this manager, the thought of it stresses me out.
Yeah,
it does worry you, because if you're not going to back this guy at this point in time, then you think, well, no one's going to get.
No.
Yeah.
Who would you back with that sort of backing? But go on, Patrick.
So yeah, I was just gonna say, just interject. It's that sliding doors moment. We're right there.
Yeah.
Kane is at the peak of his powers. He's 28, 29. He's saying exactly the same things as Conte. I love the club, but if you're not showing me the same ambition, I'm gonna walk. Conte is saying exactly the same thing. Sonny can't really say that right now because he's just signed a new deal. But again, Son's a world-class player. These guys are looking at it like, what's going on here? They're doing their all, and we are inconsistent because the players aren't good enough to keep turning up week in and week out. We all know who the culprits are. We don't need to keep bashing them, but we've got some good players there. There is quality there. It just needs to be evened out. And then I think, like Conte's saying, I'm a winner. I want to win. Give me the tools, and I'll make sure that this club is right where it needs to be. If Daniel Levy can't read the room right now, then he's an idiot. And he just needs to bounce so that we as fans can at least enjoy our club again. Because at the moment, sometimes I'm feeling, I don't even want to go to the game. But then there's other moments where I'm like, I'm up for it and I want to go. And as a football fan, you should never have those moments where you're like dreading going to games. But there has been moments this season where I feel like that. I'm starting to feel good again, but then just as we're starting to feel good, we have a clanger like Burnley.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
it's a bit of a mad one, but it's a bit crazy.
I mean, the weird bit is after the last 3 games, before these 3 games, you probably would have looked and said, well, 6 points is what we want to come out of these 3 games with. Now, no one envisaged that one of those 3 would come at Man City. So I suppose the only glimmer is that probably after these 3 games, we're where we thought we might be in terms of point-wise, aren't we? But again, it is that disappointment thing that we can look back as Spurs fan over numerous seasons and go, if we hadn't lost to Wigan at home, or we hadn't drew to Norwich at home, if we hadn't dropped those 3 points there, look where we would have been. But let's talk about something more positive, and that was this weekend. a great victory and a really well-timed victory from the boys. They did bounce back in style. Patrick, was we helped by playing a team like Leeds, who were not going to ever kind of give up their principles, and a manager in Bielsa who's not going to suddenly say, listen, we're fighting relegation, let's start putting in a low block, just play sensible. And ultimately that plays into our hands, didn't it? So were Leeds the perfect game to kind of get a bounce back performance in?
You know what? I've been thinking about this, and it's such a great question. But I also think, again, rival fans, it's an easy cop out for them. Instead of just saying, well done, Spurs, you played well, it's an easy cop out. Oh, yeah, they're the perfect team for you to play against right now. Even when we played City and we beat them, 2 of the goals weren't counter-attacking goals, by the way, but everyone said, it's perfect counter-attacking football. It's what you guys do. But the 3rd goal, we were passing the ball around, spraying it around. It was literally in the 94th minute, and we were pinging it about, and we had the confidence to attack them. We didn't sit back and rest on our laurels going for a 2-2 draw, which everyone would have said is a good point. And I do believe, Leeds are naive. That's probably the right word. But at the end of the day, you still got to carve them open. You still got to finish on the break. This is a team that have gone to West Ham, played against West Ham and beat them. They're a team that scored 2 against Man United. So obviously they do have their danger. In the Premier League, there's no rubbish team. On their day, anyone can beat anyone. And that's even the Watfords and the Norwiches. If you sit back and Leeds were unlucky. Yeah, they were unlucky, but then we could have had more as well. So it's a bit of a,
it was a basketball game at times,
exactly.
wasn't it? I mean, a real basketball game.
The difference is that we had the quality on the day. The fullbacks were fantastic. That's the first time I've seen Cess and Doherty have a good game together. Both, usually we have one wing back that plays well and the other doesn't, but both wing backs on Saturday were great. So I've got to give them their credit. Obviously, Son and Kane are always, well, not always, but when they're firing, and even Højbjerg looked really good as well. Højbjerg's pass to Kane, no one spoke about that, but that was a brilliant through ball. And if he can, Harry Winks with the pass.
That was a beautiful pass.
It was a Luka Modric. It was a Modric-esque pass before the pass.
He must have been close to coming off that dartboard holes, I reckon.
Gosh.
So all in all, Leeds. Obviously, if you want to cherry pick a game, that's probably the game. But we still got to do the job, and we did. So I'll cut it there. But it was a good result. Good result from the boys. And to be fair, I feel everyone played well. Everyone played well, apart from Hugo Lloris coming out playing sweeper keeper and then trying to take.
Save your thoughts on that one.
Okay.
I'm going to bring that up in a second.
I was shocked. That didn't make no sense to me, and I swear I saw him try and take the man out as well. But I won't say nothing for now.
I am going to ask you guys about that in a bit. Now, Ryan, was you expecting that much of a convincing win, or was? Because I think a lot of us were probably thinking, well, okay, we might win this, but it could be one of those nervy 2-1s or something like that.
Yeah.
So was you expecting, if you like, what turned out to be such an easy day at the office in a way?
I predicted a loss, actually. I thought we were going to lose because it's, like I say, it's Tottenham. After the Burnley game, I just thought, this is the last thing. Because they've only got one style of play, Leeds, haven't they? You can hit them on the counter, but with Rafinha up top and Dan James with his pace, he might not be the best finisher, but his pace. And then obviously, I know before the game, you see Matt Doherty at right back, everyone's fuming, but Pat said that's his best game he's had.
He was brilliant.
He was good. He was really good. He was really good.
I can actually say I was alive for a Harry Winks forward pass to Sessing.
I know.
I never thought I would say that.
Doherty on the score sheet. You're joking.
Even Sess, that was his best performance as well.
Yeah.
He really, really played well, and he's earning that spot ahead of Reguilon at the minute. I wouldn't want him to, maybe against Middlesbrough tomorrow, bring Reguilon back in, but I'm more than happy with Sess at the minute. But once we got the first, we've just got the quality. Harry Kane again. They haven't got a player like Harry Kane. I don't think anyone has got a player like Harry Kane. No one's got the ability he's got with the passing range and the finishing. There's not a player who can find the ball like he did for Son, that fourth goal. He is our quarterback and our main finisher at the same time. It's not many players in any team could have.
There's no player.
One of the best passes in the league for me.
The only player compared to it, I know I'm not comparing him to him, but Messi at Barcelona, you knew he would drop deep, find the pass, and he would still get all them goals. But now Messi's not doing that. So, like you say, Kane is the only player in European, maybe world football, who will drop into his own half, find a 40, 45-yard pass, lay it at Son's. Yeah, the control's good, but you don't expect him to not miss control. That the ball is inch perfect. He ain't got to stretch. He ain't got to turn around for it. And the goal as well. That finish, only he on our team could put that
world
away.
class finish. That it's
Yeah.
so underrated. That finish. That was
It's
not an easy finish at all.
on his weak foot.
Yeah.
Coming onto it as well. He's a different player under this manager, and that's, I say, that's another reason you want to back this manager and make him happy. You make him happy, you make Harry Kane happy, and you keep him. You're not worried in the summer again about him missing the first month of training or coming back late off his holidays, because he'll be the first one back in the door. If he sees progression, he'll come straight back in, and then you build your team. See, if you get that spine right, I know Lloris is playing a bit of fun and games at the minute. Now he's got his contract. He's like Tan's probably said, he's had a couple to drink before the game.
Yeah, I don't know what he's been drinking.
It's the old grab of whiskey, isn't it? Yeah.
You build your spine. You've got Romero there, who is just different.
I love him.
Different gravies. I mean, I don't know if any of you saw. Did you see the Son celebration?
Yeah,
I was like,
he ripped his head off his neck.
Yeah, he's a different animal.
But now you've got to carry on. Like Tanya said a bit ago, a win against Man City should give you confidence. So should a 4-0 win. Now you go into the Middlesbrough game, build on that confidence, and go smack Dele Alli around the pitch on a Monday night. That's exactly how you want to spend it.
So Tans, obviously, great performance. Within half an hour, we're 3-0 up, and we're in dreamland, aren't we?
Yeah, no, honestly, I wasn't that confident. I was a bit like Ryan. And I personally think that just comes down to the result against Burnley. You never know what this team is capable of. And I just thought the Spursiness, for them to get beaten by Liverpool 6-0, I just thought we're not going to beat them, surely. I just was thinking that. But you know what? I have to say, I think that was the first performance I've seen, or one of the best performances I've seen of us playing as a team. Like collectively, we were all man for man brilliant, besides Lloris's little blip, which I know we'll get into. But I just think Kane was exceptional again. His passing and that finish. I really like Kulusevski. We didn't mention him. I think he's been a great signing so far. Really, really like him. Already better than Bergwijn. Even more to a degree. I know I don't want to get carried away, but he's got such technical ability, and that finish. I mean,
well, the finish itself, he fooled the keeper there, because the keeper thinks he's going far post,
He's
and
already
he whips
level
it
on
near
goals.
Post. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now
Lucas.
he was getting
There
a
you
lot
go.
of stick, wasn't he? 2 cameo performances,
Oh,
and
that's
a lot of
ridiculous.
fans were on his back, weren't they? But you have to say, these recent games where he's been on from the start and had a decent time to settle into the game, because I think people forget, when you're coming off the bench with 15 minutes or 10 minutes to go, and you're actually trying to impress and playing in a side that are not playing well, you can't, that's not enough time to settle in and get used to the pace of the game or do anything. But he's really shown in these last few games, isn't he, that he added to those front two, could really come on and add something going forward over the next season or so.
No, absolutely. And I want to touch on what Pat was saying. I think that was the first game where we're actually seeing the wing backs get involved. We need to see more of that, especially in this system. Sessegnon got an assist. Doherty, I think he got an assist as well. And
Doherty
to Doherty as well.
Wing back to wing back. We need more of that. We need more. But again, I find Sessegnon, he had a good game, and then sometimes he doesn't have a good game. But again, I feel for him a little bit. He's in and out of the side, so it's hard for him to get consistency. But maybe Conte trusts him to start the next couple of games ahead of Reguilon. Who knows? But no, really good performance. And I just hope we can bring that confidence and that level of performance against Middlesbrough.
So let's get to the man we've kind of touched on a little bit. Obviously, we keep a clean sheet, but obviously you have to at one point say no thanks to Hugo, because what was going through his mind? Now, when you consider the previous couple of games, the Wolves game, 2 real big errors there. City, ultimately, you have to look at that goal and say, well, listen, he should be swallowing that ball up. A professional goalkeeper should be having that. And then, like as you said earlier, Pat, it was the fact as well, wasn't it, that not only does he mess the clearance up, but when the guy goes round him, when you're in control of the game, he almost tries to grab his leg, which you're thinking, if you bring him down, you're off here.
It's a red card.
What was happening there with, that's 3 games now where you've got to say Lloris has looked slightly shaky. Does he now needs a solid game, doesn't he, to kind of get some of that confidence back?
And the thing is, that Leeds game should have been a solid game, because I don't think, if I remember correctly, I don't think the Leeds team actually tested him like with a real. He didn't have to pull off a good save, did he?
Well, a lot of the time they hit a post, didn't they?
They hit a post
twice.
twice.
Most of their stuff was kind of headers just past the post.
The glancing header wide at the first real chance. Obviously, that guy hit the post. But yeah, Lloris wasn't really tested, so that should have been a game where he was comfortable. But the sweeper keeper moment, he came out, he read the ball well. I thought, okay, cool, well done.
Yeah, there was no problem with him coming out.
Yeah, there was no comfort, but then he passed it to the Leeds player. And I'm like, oh, shit. And then,
I think he got caught in 2 minds. Do you think he got caught in 2 minds of whether I'm going to pass this here or actually play or just kick it long or play a pass? It was like he was mad.
But if in doubt, just kick it out, as they say. If in doubt, just whack it out and get back to it. And then the bonkers thing, he actually tried to bring the player down. I was around it and watched it. And if that guy goes down, that's a red card. And then we're in big trouble, because that's Galini in goal. And then obviously Galini in goal for the next game. We'd be fucked. So thank God. And then Ben Davies as well. I mean, we get onto him, but that was a goal saving moment.
Dallas really messed that up.
He took way too long.
You either score that or you pass it to Rafinha, who was open in acres of space, and he obviously taps the ball in. So, lucky that their quality wasn't there. Ben Davies was brilliant getting back and anticipating when the guy was going to take the shot. But Lloris, it beggars. I just don't understand that, really.
Do you know what it is with Lloris? I feel like he always goes through this little patch where he's just absolutely abysmal. And I don't know why. I feel like he just has to go through it every year, and then he'll just end up being good again. Because all in all, he's been really good this season.
I was just going to say, he's been really solid this season. In all fairness, he has kept us in games at times.
So many.
And as we said last week, ultimately, unfortunately, as a goalkeeper, your one mistake ultimately normally ends up costing you a goal. But Ryan, he has looked a little shaky, hasn't he?
Not the problem. I don't know if any of you notice it with Lloris. He's not got no mid performance. He's either world class or he's absolutely dog. There's no mid.
Between,
He'll either come out for a corner and catch it one-handed and get us on the attack, or he'll drop it at the player's feet and concede a late. There's no. And it's always after he makes one. Once he's made one mistake, that's it. Then you'll have 4, 5, 6 games where he'll do something daft. And like I say, it's hard. It is hard to complain about him, really, because I say the start of the season he was one of our only good players. But now that we've got Kane back and him and Son seem to be linking up again, Ramiro's back fit. This is the time he decides to start throwing clangers when we need points the most. But like I say, hopefully, like Pat's just said, he gets one good game under him now. Catches everything, some good saves, some good distribution, and then we'll have Lloris back to normal, hopefully.
But I tell you,
Sam there, he is right. Galini's actually injured at the moment.
Oh, was he? Okay.
I think at the moment,
Brandon Austin.
Do you think that maybe, like as we used to have that problem, that no real serious backup to give you some competition, and we mean serious competition of knowing there's a guy there sitting on the bench who, if I'm not performing, comes on and he takes my place. Do you think that's something that possibly Lloris can fall into that trap of knowing, well, listen, I'm number one? We had the same thing at times with someone like Eriksen, didn't we? Where it was like, well, the fact you had no real other creative midfielder, Eriksen knew he was there. Do you think that is that an element, or do you think Lloris is just purely going through one of those spells where, their confidence might be a little bit dented?
I think you're right, Carl. But I was actually going to say, as bad as Lloris has been in recent games, I still wouldn't want Galini. I just wouldn't, because I just know Lloris always has that world-class save in him, and especially when we really need him to pull off that save, he always does it. But I think you're right. It's a bit of an issue, really, because look, I know he's signed a 2-year extension. I think I've got that right.
Yeah, you have.
But I do still think we need to be looking to the future with a goalkeeper, and I think we do need to get quite a good backup goalkeeper. And I say backup, but a good second goalkeeper to actually challenge Lloris. Because I do think at some point we need to phase him out because he's not, going to be here forever. He's already how old? So I think a goalkeeper is something that we shouldn't ignore because Galini, let's be honest, he's been a bit of a waste, hasn't it?
Well, yeah, I don't think anyone would be clamouring to keep Galini come the end of the loan this season, would they? I don't think he hasn't done anything since coming in where people go, oh, this is the goalie for the future. So now I'm going to hold my hands up here and apologise because before the game on Saturday, when I saw the lineup, I put a tweet out of the plainest Tesco meal deal you can get saying, look at our centre midfield today. Thinking, wow, when, that was Winks and Højbjerg again. But I'm going to have to hold my hands up here and say those two and those passes for those goals, well, I had to hold my hand up and put the tweet back out a bit later saying, listen, they've well and truly shoved that down me today. So fair play to them. Those two passes, I mean, Winks' pass to get Sessegnon underway and the Højbjerg ball, well, it's pinpoint, isn't it? Glenn Hoddle-esque. Do you think that's going to give him the confidence, Patrick, to maybe be a bit more forward thinking?
The thing is, it's frustrating because we know these guys can do it. When Højbjerg plays for Denmark, especially in the European Championships, we saw him in an advanced position and he was pinging balls around. He was even, getting into attacking areas and taking shots on and everything like that. And we know he's a menace. He's a DM, so it's not his main job. But we know he's got the quality in there. He just needs to do it on a more consistent basis. If we don't play with our traditional number 10 or a ball playing CM like a James Ward-Prowse, then Harry Winks should be that guy, but he's not really. Obviously, Højbjerg has a pass in him. So the reality is these guys have got the quality to do it, but they just need to come out of their shell a bit and do it on a more consistent basis. We see, Winks is known as Mr. Sideways. He's always passing it back sideways or backwards. On Saturday though, he was good. I mean, and like I said, I joked about, but it was Luka Modric-esque, where it was like the pass before the pass. The pass is so good, the guy who receives it is already in a great area, and then all they've got to do is look up and ping it across, and it's a goal, which is what Cess did, and it was brilliant to see Cess. He had a really good game, and those whipped in crosses and through balls is what we want from our wide players. We're not really getting that. So, Winks passing and pushing forward, Højbjerg doing that. It needs to come from those guys because Conte doesn't like to play with a packed midfield. So the guys in there have got to do that job. They're more than capable, but they need to do it on a It's consistency. If Tottenham, Arsenal, United, we've all got players, but it's gonna be who's more consistent on our day. I'm just hoping and praying it's us because obviously I want us to try and bag fourth. It's going to be tough, but it's doable if we turn up.
Now, obviously, Ryan, typically this was Spursy, isn't it? Bentancur comes in. First couple of games, we're sitting there thinking, wow, this is the midfielder we've been crying for. We need this, we want this guy in the middle. And as always, he'll now be out for probably 4 or 5 weeks. With
God, is it that long?
I think it probably could be looking around that long. It looked a nasty fall, didn't it, in that Burnley game? One of those that you go, you just, that's bad.
Yeah.
But this is where we will need Højbjerg and Winks, given the lack of options we've got now in that midfield places, to step up and kind of play like that, won't we?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm sure I did read Alistair Gold today say from Conte's press that Bentancur should be back in training after the Middlesbrough game. So it's
okay.
It's not.
That sounds good.
It's not actually, and Skip is back in training as well.
Oh, please!
Fingers crossed. Yeah,
that's a. Like you've just said about Lloris competition. Winks and Højbjerg in there now need to look over the shoulder and think those two are coming back now. I want to keep my spot in this team, and I know you don't think about it that much, but a Winks, if he thinks to himself even a little bit, if I perform well, there's a World Cup in November. England, if there's anything that you want to fight for, he's had his England caps, he's been there, he's done that. You always want to go represent your country at a tournament, so that should hopefully up his performances a bit. But it's that competition now. One bad performance. I mean, I love Oliver Skip. I think he's got a really great future. So when he comes back, one bad game from Winks, Skip will come in, a bad game from Højbjerg, Bentancur could come in. But that's what we want as fans. We want players fighting for those positions. We want to see competition. Now, you expect Winks and Højbjerg to start tomorrow because, like I said, they're only 2 fit. You don't really see Conte bringing in White or Devine for a cup game because, like I said, he wants trophies. This is a trophy,
especially not at this point. I think you've got to go strong tomorrow.
Yeah, especially Middlesbrough. You can't underestimate them. Knocked out Leicester, knocked out Man United on pens. So
you have got to go full strength, more or less the same team that played Leeds. Like I say, maybe a Reguilon for Sessegnon, maybe a couple. I know Lucas is still out, so you imagine the front three still staying the same. But it's a trophy, and these players, like I say, this is a perfect game again for Winks and Højbjerg to play well and say to Conte, look, I want to start against Everton on Monday. I've played well against Middlesbrough tonight. And like I say, it's a shocking time for fans to travel to Teesside at bloody 8 o'clock kickoff on a Tuesday. Yeah. They haven't really planned that well, but I think now it's up to the players to give the fans a reason to travel. And that's the same for Winks and Højbjerg. Give the fans something to travel back to happy and think, you know what, actually, that's 2 performances now. Winks and Højbjerg have actually put a shift in and changed and created something in the game. I mean, you don't want to see Winks. He's like the crab. That's all he does. He's a crab. He's just side. We don't need that. We need forward-thinking players who, like I say, Sessegnon or Reguilon, Emerson, Doherty, they are 9 times out of 10 the most advanced players in the side due to the system. Now, they're the players you want to be looking for, who then can free Son and Kane. So no point keep going back to Romero or out to Davis or back to Lloris. You need to start stamping your foot in these games now and keep your place in the side.
So great win. And like I say, we're going to come to the Kane and Son record in a minute. Before we get here, Tans, top 4. Lots of people kind of writing the top 4 off, obviously, after the Burnley game. And you can understand why. But ultimately, this is a season, isn't it, where none of the teams fighting for that position are putting in consistent performances. All of them will drop points as well. So do you think we're still in the hunt for the top 4? Do you think, I mean, we know we are, but do you realistically think, we realistically could go and get this?
Do you know what? It's so difficult to answer because, like you say, other teams around us are inconsistent. You look at Man United. I think Arsenal, to be honest, they're looking quite consistent at the minute. But, it's funny how all of a sudden they're saying, oh, but we've got games in hand. And when we said it, it was like, oh, but you've got to win those games. And it's funny, they need to win those games because the games they've got in hand are Chelsea and us. So
Chelsea, Tottenham and Liverpool.
So all of a sudden, if they don't win those games, their top 4 chances are looking unlikely. And then if we win the games we're supposed to be winning in that time, we get back in it. So it's difficult. But I would say because we've been so inconsistent, it's hard for me to say, we're definitely going to get top 4. But who knows? We're not out of it. I think, it's easy to say after a game when we lose, we're heated up, we're out of the top 4 race. But actually, if you look at the table, we're not out of it. I think we do still have a game or so in hand somewhere.
Yeah. And there's a lot of football to play.
Yeah, there's lots of football to play. And
I think it's Brighton now over here, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. So we've still got to play teams that are in and around us. We've still got to play Man United. If we beat them, that's good. If we beat Arsenal, that's great.
Yeah, we've got 3 6-pointers. We've still got to play Man United. We still got to play West Ham. We still got to play Arsenal. So we've got a lot of the games. Those. Yeah, but it's in our hands, so to speak. We've still got
Liverpool to play, I think, as well, haven't we? Which would be a tough one.
We've got 3 games on United, who are in 4th. They're on 47 points. We're on 42. So obviously it's hard to say, but we are definitely in the mix. But we need to win our games.
We'll probably win those games, but then we'll lose to Norwich.
There we go. Yeah.
Well, I mean, no one's really talking about it, but Man United drawing 0-0 at Watford just goes to show how inconsistent this league is. Watford are second from bottom, and Man United couldn't beat them at home. So you just, and
I think you could look at it right now. I mean, you've got to look at Brighton's form just recently. They look like they could be on a little slippy slope.
Yeah.
Wolves, I don't think Wolves have probably got enough in them to keep that going. So teams are going to drop away. Southampton, they're looking good at the moment. So they're a side that are there. But again, they could have one defeat that knocks them. Yeah. It's going to be finding some consistency, isn't it? And that's the real key, isn't it? If we could go on a consistent run, put a 6-7 game, not saying you got to win them all, but it's pick up your wins, pick up your draws in the difficult games. There's still a fight to be had, and it definitely isn't over yet, is it?
No, definitely not.
No, it's Tottenham, though, isn't it? That's the problem.
It's it's Tottenham.
That's all you have to say, lads. It's Tottenham.
As a famous man once said, come on, boys.
Yeah,
exactly. Okay, then let's talk about our record breakers, because at the weekend, obviously, that Son and Kane link up now totals 37 goal combinations, which go back to the very first one in a game away at Stoke in 2016 when Son set Kane up for a finish. I mean, what more can you say about these two as players? I mean, we'll start with you, Tans. It's just a phenomenal record to beat, and even more so when you consider how many more can they add onto that tally yet.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely incredible achievement because, they're up there with the likes of, Drogba and Lampard. So, they're in good company. And I knew they would beat it, to be honest. I think Son and Kane, when they link up, you just know it's magic and you just know something's going to happen because they're just both incredible players. And I always say it, we're just so lucky to have them. I think it's easy sometimes for us to criticize them when they're not having a bad game, but just think, where would we be without them? That's what I always have to tell myself. And I'm like, you know what, time's been a bit harsh. But yeah, absolutely unbelievable. Kane, world class. Son, obviously, there's that argument, is he world class? I personally think he's in that bracket of just beneath the world class.
No, he's world class, man. Give him his flowers.
This is my opinion.
He's a world class player. Yeah, anyway, I'll let you land. Sorry.
But no, honestly, as I say, they're both phenomenal and we're both very lucky to have them. And it's just a shame that we have to overplay them so much. That's what gets my gripe. It's the fact that, we can never really rest them because they're both so incredible. But yeah, amazing and great achievement. Brilliant. It is.
Now, Patrick, obviously you're disagreeing there on Son world class.
Oh no, right? I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No, you know what? I do get where Tams is coming from, but when you look at look at the wide players. Like if you look at the wide players in world football, I'm sorry, there's not many that are better than Son. Left foot, right foot, pace. He can pass. He can pretty much take a man on. He can dribble. I mean, look at the goal that he scored, Puskas winner against Burnley. The guy pretty much can do everything from an attacking. Do
you think, Patrick? Sorry, just there.
Yeah.
When people say, as we say, that maybe they don't put him in that world class bracket, is it because with Son you either get a world class performance, and then when it's not, it's a kind of, was he even on the pitch today?
You know what? It's a bummer because, I mean, Carl, you and I have been going back and forth with a few people on Twitter that are saying Kane's not world class.
So that one.
Oh no, that's ridiculous. Who's saying that?
There's a few
Don't
times.
Get me angry.
But the thing is, and it's so easy, and this is what fans do these days. They're going to turn around and say Son and Kane ain't world class because they haven't won any trophies.
No,
and it's
a silly argument.
It's so annoying, but that's the world that we live in now.
That was the argument we was having.
Patrick, and they're going to throw that. I've had arguments about Son. And that's the thing that they throw at me. And I'm like, so, that's from that standpoint, I get it. But for me, a world-class player is somebody that does it at all levels and does it for club and country and in all competitions. Son in the Champions League always balls out. He carries his team, South Korea, and always balls out there. And obviously, we've seen him do at all levels for Tottenham. So for me, he's world class.
But the reason why, when you look at someone like Salah, that's why I say he's just below. He's not, for me, he's just not at that level that Salah is. Salah consistently every year scoring how many?
Salah's above world class.
Exactly.
That's what I'm saying.
Salah and Son are not the same. For me, Salah is a striker now. He's not a wide forward. He's not a winger. So again, they're in different, because if we look at Kane is a world-class striker. There might be, I know the world-class striker pool isn't as rich, but you couldn't compare someone and say, he's not doing what Kane does, so he's not world-class. There's different levels to that for me. So I get you, Tans, and I do understand why people wouldn't, but for me, he is. Left foot, right foot, can pass. Obviously, he's one of the best finishers around. And yeah, I just think he is a world-class player. Personally, I do.
Yeah.
Ryan, what more can you say? I mean, we've done we did a little segment on Kane the other week, didn't we? Saying, you know, that this guy is just unbelievable. And as Patrick said there, we were having a back and forth with someone the other day about, well, he hasn't won nothing, so he can't be considered world class. And you put his numbers up and say, if this is someone that you don't think world class, then I don't know what a guy has to do to be considered that. I mean, that is a ludicrous argument, and one that you kind of go, I'm not sure football, me and you talking football is going to happen, because if, you know, take the tinted glasses off of the team you support, every team in the land wants Kane in their side if they're given the opportunity, even in the world. I'm going to go, because for me, he's the best striker in world football because of what he can do. But that partnership, if a team play the way that, say, a Leeds do or Man City do, they will tear you apart every day of the week, won't they?
Oh, massively. I mean, like I said, the world class thing. I mean, that's like saying Wes Brown and John O'Shea are world class because he won numerous titles with Man U. They're not world class players. It's not the trophy. The trophy is the club game. Harry Kane cannot be judged on the Tottenham Hotspur Football Club success or the unsuccessful time we've had. He needs to be based on his personal performances. I mean, look at his records. He's close to the Jimmy Greaves record. If he keeps going, he'll break Alan Shearer's record. If he stays fit.
Even England. Look at England. He's going to beat Rooney.
He'll do that
He'll beat all those records, won't he? I think ultimately, when he ends his career, he'll be the highest Premier League scorer, England's greatest ever goal scorer, Tottenham's greatest ever goal scorer. It's just phenomenal, isn't it?
That's a statue outside the Tottenham ground at the end. At the end of it, like I say, people mix up the fact that, I mean, like I say, I'm sure like that. I don't know if you remember that winger Luke Chadwick. He probably got Premier League medals from playing 5 games for Man U in a season when he was younger. That if he wins it, then yeah, that's great for him. He'll absolutely love that. But like I say, it's the records that he'll want as well. And I hate to do it. It breaks my heart, but I'll have to disagree with Tanya on Son. It breaks me, Tanya. Son is that's my hope for top 4, because I don't think any other chasing club has got a better manager than us. And I think those two are the best players. Don't bring me Cristiano Ronaldo. He was the second best player in the world. He don't touch Messi. That's a discussion for another time. We've got the best 2 players in that top 4 race, and if those 2 are performing, if those 2 are happy, then that gives us a better chance than anybody. And like I said, by the time them 2 are done with each other, they could be 20, 30 goals up. But
it's right.
They're our second partnership in that top 5, aren't they? After Anderton and Sheringham.
Yeah,
I think that's 2
correct.
partnerships we've got in there now. But it's going to take a lot for people to beat that. And I say they're both 20. What are they? Both 28, 29 years old. Both similar age.
They've still got plenty of time. I mean, like as you say, they could easily 37. That could easily go to 40. 57, something like that. By the time
they should hit 50. If we're being, they should hit 50.
Yeah, definitely.
But on the Kane thing as well, I just think even if he wins a trophy, like they love to move the goalpost when it comes
they will.
to Kane.
They will
There's
move
always
the
an excuse.
goalpost.
If he wins a League Cup or FA Cup, they're like, oh, but it's not a Premier League, is it? Like there's always something to disrespect him. And I know it's because he plays for Spurs, but you have to have context as well. Look at the team he's playing in. Like people like to say we're a crap team and we're Spursy, but that's my point. Like if he was in a Liverpool team or a City team, you just know the numbers he'd be square, and he'd win trophies when he goes to any of those teams. It's just it's just
what
annoying,
they like. If you won the Premiership, they'll say no, it's a Champions
League.
They'll
find something.
Well, that would be the season if he only scored say 10 goals. It'd be but you're not scoring 25, 30 goals a season. I mean, that argument to me is just crazy because, I hit back with that argument but when you consider the side the guy is in, those numbers he's racking up are just phenomenal. And again, as you said earlier in the show, Tand, if he hadn't been with us, where would we have been at that point? Because there are seasons where he's dragged his club through, and campaigns where without him we'd have been bang in trouble. So I think you've got to ask people at some point. Listen, I hate Arsenal with a passion, but I had to admit when Thierry Henry was in the league, that guy was just a monster and a player that you had to take your hat off to after a while and go, yeah, listen, he was fantastic today. You know, hate it, but he ran the show. And I think a lot of people are just letting that club bias get in the way of some honesty here. So let's move on to Middlesbrough tomorrow night, FA Cup. This is a real chance, isn't it?
It's so
yes,
typical.
Exactly.
Come on, guys, come on.
What's going on? You're the positive one here.
No, I am, but still, City are still in it, right? Chelsea are still in it, if I remember correctly. Liverpool are probably still in it. I know. No, United are out, obviously, because they got knocked out. Arsenal are out. So there's still some big boys in there. So it's still, it's and obviously we know this cup is the cup for upsets. Saying that,
Middlesbrough have caused a couple.
Yeah, exactly.
Middlesbrough have caused a couple of upsets.
They're no slouches. They've knocked out two biggies, two big teams. So we can't go into the game thinking that it's a foregone conclusion. It isn't. But we should be able to beat Middlesbrough, man. Touch wood, anyway. Famous last words. We should be able to beat Middlesbrough. I don't expect too many changes. Son and Kane will probably start.
So would you go strong, Patrick?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we've got a whole week off, so why not?
Yeah.
There's no excuses for the whole, rotate. I think the wing backs will rotate, like Ryan said. I think Cess and who did we start on the left?
Doherty.
Doherty and Cess. Oh yeah, you're right. Sorry. So those two drop out. You bring in Royale and you bring in
would you drop them, Patrick?
Yeah,
given,
I would.
Given those performances at Leeds, would you not think for those two players it could be vital now to build on that?
I'd play Doherty, to be honest. I would start Doherty. Yeah,
I would probably start the other two, and just obviously Conte says to them, "Listen, you guys are our first choice for the league. We've got Everton next week." I would probably start those two and give them a bit of a run out. But other than that, I'd probably keep the same team. I'll just change the wing backs because Conte does like to push the wing backs. They're probably the two most important players, and they do cover the most ground. So it's a good chance to rotate them. That's how I would look at it anyway. Other than that, I'd keep it exactly the same. And obviously try and win early and then get some rest in.
Well, it'd be nice, wouldn't it, to not go into this game come in the 80th minute.
I know, exactly.
It'd be nice to get it done early. I mean, Ryan, are you going full on strong? Would you make any changes to that side from the Leeds game, given those kind of weeks rest as well after that before Everton at home?
I'd probably only Sessegnon, but I'd only take Sessegnon out not for form. I just worry about his injury. The lad's getting game time now. The last thing I want to see is him get another little injury. His little injuries seem to keep him out for 3-4 months.
And
I was worried when he ran into the post.
I
thought, this is looking like him being done.
I did see a comment that someone put up earlier that said that they've read somewhere that Rodon and Sanchez are coming in.
Yeah, that was Sam.
I saw that as well.
Seen on Twitter today that Rodon and Sanchez.
You imagine that's for Dyer and Romero. I can understand Dyer because I think he's only been back for 2 games now, 3 games. Sorry, this is his 3rd game. Back against Leeds, so you can understand him a little bit. But other than that, like I said, this is the only chance we've got at silverware this season, and you might as well go for it now. I mean, you can go for top 4 as well. We should have a squad good enough to progress tomorrow night and go to Everton and put in a good performance. But, I mean, Kane and Son, I don't think there's really any other options, is there? Unless you start Bergwijn.
No. But especially when Moore out. I mean, Moore is out, so that would have been your only possible player.
I'm glad Galini's injured. I do not want to see Galini between them sticks. I do not want to see. I'd rather Harry Kane starting the whole thing. I do not want to see. Oh, we've got to win. Like I said, there's no point smacking Leeds 4-0 and then going to a championship side and losing. Because like Tanya said, there's no the confidence is just always like a yo-yo. There's no confidence. Then they'll go to the Everton game and you won't know what Tottenham you're going to get. So go strong, pick the best team that you can pick, get to the next round, and
then get Chelsea.
Well, if they progress in the champ, we've just got to hope that they progress in the Champions League title fighting, because they will only prioritise Champions League or Premier League over an FA Cup. So I know that's not what we want to wear. We want to be in that position as well, progressing Champions League, challenging for titles, but we'll take what we can get at the minute. And if the FA Cup's what we can get, I'll celebrate it like a Champions League, Premier League double. I don't care. I want silverware.
Tans, what about you? What are you doing tomorrow night? Are you going as strong, or is there any changes that you think you'd make?
Yeah, I think Rosen, Sanchez, stick them right in. No, I'm joking. Oh God, do you know what? Honestly, that's worrying me. If I see them, I'll be fuming, because I agree with the boys. I think we just need to go as strong as possible. For me, the FA Cup, that's the games that I'm actually focusing on a lot. I want us to win a trophy. How many times do we say it? I mean, we've been here so many times. And you know what? If we was to finish 6th and get that FA Cup, I'm telling you, it would be the best season ever for me.
I was just going to say, quick for, FA Cup finish 5th or finish 4th and no FA Cup.
FA Cup and 5th for me. It's progress. We finished 7th and 6th, so it's still progress. And we've got a trophy. Jesus, when's the last time we got one? So I'll take that all day long. Shamelessly, I'll be up and down the high road dancing.
Honestly,
definitely. I'll take that. I can't turn my nose up. A few years ago, when we were spoiled with always finishing in Champions League, I probably wouldn't have said the same thing. But I didn't foresee that 4 or 5 years later we would be in a position where we still haven't won anything. So I can't then turn around and say, no, I won't take a trophy. I'll 100% take that trophy, man.
But as well, I think we've spoken about the teams that are in it. We've obviously said Man City, but we've beaten Man City.
Exactly.
It's not like we can't, it's, impossible to beat. It is possible.
No, I just think we just keep clamming up. Yeah, that's it. Because we've seen lesser teams give Chelsea a game, man.
Those teams don't fear me because of the way they'll play. I mean, we were unlucky not to beat Liverpool. On another day, we should have been 3 up at half time in that game at home.
God,
City, we scored 3, could have easily have had 5 in that game and defended really well. The only team that really do worry me in that would be Chelsea in that next round, just because of the hoodoo there seems to be on us and them, but no one else actually worries me or scares me, because I think those 2 powerhouses would play into our hands a little bit.
Yeah.
What about you, Ryan? Prediction? What are you going for tomorrow night?
I hate predicting Tottenham. I will go a 2-0 win. Harry Kane double again.
Confident. Tens, what are you predicting tomorrow?
Do you know what? I think we'll concede, unfortunately. I'm going to go 3-1, which is quite confident. But I think 3-1. Kane going to be on the score sheet. Do you know what? Let's just say Kane hat-trick. Let's go big. Kane hat-trick.
Going big. Hotspur Sam agrees with you there as well.
3-1.
Patrick?
Yeah, Tan stole my scoreline. I was going to say that as well.
Sorry.
You can still go there.
I'm going 3-1. I think we'll concede. We'll probably be a bit naive. They might even score first. But I think we'll have enough quality to see the game out. Probably, I think Kane, Son, and Kulu on the score sheet, so the front 3 will combine in.
I'm going to go 2-0, and I think tomorrow is all about that. If we can get that early goal, isn't it? Just to settle the nerves, open that game. I remember when we played Middlesbrough in the cup game at White Hart Lane, wasn't it? Lo Celso got a nice early goal.
Yeah.
And at that point, just settles everything down. The longer that game potentially goes at 0-0, the worse it's going to get, isn't it?
Absolutely. I was just going to say, does that player Spence play for Middlesbrough?
Forest, he plays for us. So he's a Forest man. So he would have been a danger.
God, he
would have been a danger for them, definitely. Well, okay, guys, I think we've come to the end there. We're all confident we're going through. We're not so confident about what's going to happen after that when we go through. But you know what? You've got to be in the hat to possibly win it. So we'll take just getting through tomorrow, that's for sure. And then obviously we'll be back before we play Everton to discuss the Everton game.
Yeah.
So now just leaves me to thank the guests. So Tans, coming to you. You've brought a bit of glamour to the show, some great football knowledge. So really appreciate you coming on tonight, mate. And hopefully you'll be back before the season's finished.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm happy to come on anytime. Thanks for having me on. It's a great channel. Lovely to see, obviously, Ryan and Pat. And yeah, it's been a good show. Positive overall. And hopefully we could just get through to the next round in the FA Cup. So yeah.
Oh, let's hope so. Let's hope so. Appreciate you coming on tonight, mate.
No
Patrick,
worries.
another sterling performance.
Yes, let's go. So yeah, repping what is this?
He's
This
repping
purple,
God, how
purple
many
and
times we get it?
purple
We
and
get
green
it.
or whatever it is. Yeah. Tottenham through and through. This they say that this is inspired by N17. So yeah, I'll take that all day long, man. Sonny and Kane, please, let's more of that, more of the same. The thing is, I said it on a podcast a while ago. I said if Kane gets to 15 goals, we'll get top 4. Right now he's on about 8. He's more than capable of doing it. So
Absolutely.
let's go, man. Let's go.
Top stuff. And Ryan, another sterling performance tonight, mate. And hopefully you'll be back with us again next Monday night.
Oh, definitely. I'm a bit upset, Carl. I know Tanya's royalty. I thought me and Patrick brought a little bit of glamour. I thought me and Pat brought a little bit of glamour at least.
Listen, I know I send you messages bigging you up, but guys, when you've got Tan sitting there in the corner, you two, unfortunately, are bringing the place down.
These are my Mondays. This is it. I love coming on. The win, lose, or draw. These are the like I say. Yeah. We might have to get Tanya on every 2 weeks. Like I say, it's Tottenham royalty we've brought on. That should get the views right.
Oh, but I'm coming on every week now. It's brilliant. Giving me a big vent.
Tans is not getting out of the bedroom with that head today.
Definitely made bigger. Like that.
Brilliant, guys. Really appreciate tonight. It was a great episode. We'll see you again soon. And to everyone watching, appreciate the support. Like and subscribe. Loads of content coming. And say the audio will be out on Tuesday afternoon. So that just leaves us to say thank you very much and come on, you Spurs.